He's got to check his OnlyFans before he comes back.
This is the B Team intro song. Ow, that was my foot.
Hey guys, I'm Garrett. I'm here with my co-defendants, Million, Riley, Maisie. In this episode, we talk about cats. Indoor cat, outdoor cat, whether to buy a cat, whether to adopt a cat. This episode has seriously got some really good insight. I hope you make it to the end because it's pretty fucking funny.
You can also contact us at bteamtattoopodcast@gmail.com, and you can find us on Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Music under B Team Tattoo Podcast.
Yeah.
A fan, our only fan, sent
We
us.
actually got a fan to ask us a question. Oh my God.
I love that it starts with "Good afternoon, sir."
Who is he talking to? Your dad?
I guess Garrett.
Okay, it must be Garrett. He's the most distinguished one.
This is the text message that was sent to Garrett. Reads as follows. Good afternoon, sir. I was wondering if you would help me with a question or two. I'm now at the point of hiring people and was wondering what your process is on that. Is there a standard operating procedure you put forth, or do you wing it and piece things together as you go? I already had a person sign on, but he didn't last very long, and I want to weed these people out in the interview process so I don't waste time and energy on them when I could be helping others out. If you have any insight into this would be appreciated. Garrett, what are your thoughts on that?
So fortunately, I've been in the same area for, 25 years. A lot of times I already know the artist that's coming in. That kind of helps quite a bit. There's not a lot of out-of-state hires. The first thing I do is check their social media for sure. I would recommend reaching out to other studios that this person has worked at, even though that might be an uphill battle because a lot of studios, won't give you the time of day or they've got some shit to say about something. When people leave studios, very rarely is it on good terms. So you have to take that with a grain of salt. Essentially, their work, should speak for itself. But the thing is, what you don't know is if you hire someone from out of state that got ran out of state because they're some sort of a sexual predator or something like that. Those are the things that you need to do background checks on. It's really scary hiring somebody that you don't know. Riley, what do you do?
I'm in a unique position. I train everybody that works for me. So I've got a year-long apprenticeship that I get to know exactly who I'm dealing with. I totally agree with you. If I was hiring from out of state, someone I didn't know, I would do a background check on them. I would call their previous people. I wouldn't hire a stranger. That wouldn't happen. If you just came in the door and said, give me a job, I wouldn't give you a job. 17 years ago, I'd put you on a tryout. I'd have you do some tattoos and see what I'm dealing with, but today you can't take that risk. There's too much going on, But the conversation I have with new hires, even an apprentice, is a very serious conversation where, we just level with them. This is what we're looking for. This is what we do. That conversation can be pretty sticky sometimes. Your idea of what they're going to do as a tattoo artist and their idea of what they're going to be as a tattoo artist could be drastically different. Million, what do you do?
I've tried a bunch of different things. The last couple was doing guest spot with us, as a tryout, just to see, how do they work? Do they smell bad? Do they but you're only going to see their best. And if their best is shit, then that's an easy way out right there. But then after that, I don't know. See how everybody gets along and don't make any too hard of commitments right off the bat.
Do either one of you have a tryout period that's standard?
Yes. So I was going to comment on that as well. What I told our fan is that I put everyone on a 90-day trial. And it's not just them on a trial. My ownership and my crew was also on trial. It's a two-way street. If in 3 months you don't like it and you want to move, cool. No hard feelings. You didn't waste my time. Like Million said, people will be on their best behavior, but people can behave for a month. 90 days is a little harder to pull off. So you're going to see more of the real person within that time frame. But I think that 90 days really gives us a chance for us to get to know that artist and for that artist to get to understand how we operate. But if it's a guest spot, if it's a trial run, they got to be pretty daft to not understand what that is.
The last one we did was 60 days. But I've known her for over a decade. So
if at the end of 60 days instead of 90, it's kind of like overpromise, overdeliver. Like, yeah, it's 9 months or it's 90 days, but you know what? If after a month you know it's right, cool. Fucking say, you know what? You're outstanding. Let's fucking go. They're going to respect that a lot more. Hopefully, they're not going to take advantage of you. It's a while before you get keys and access to my shop. I'll tell you that.
Interesting thing, when all three of us were posed with that question, we didn't say I, we said we, and I think we collectively were talking about how we felt as owners of the shop, and collectively how the rest of the shop and the counter staff, the other artists, how they felt about this new person in our environment.
Yep.
Was that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know about you guys, but like, we've got a very cohesive crew here. Our crew is really tight and they work very well together, and we don't like a lot of people disrupting the boat. And so my opinion about if you stay with this company after a tryout is very much in link with how the rest of the crew feels about it.
Yeah.
Too. If they're not a good fit, they're not a good fit. The same type of thing. You guys, do you go to like one or two senior artists that have been around
I go
for
to
a while?
all of them once a week through that 2 months.
Yeah, you talk to all of them, don't you? Okay.
Yep.
We're very transparent about that when we hire. We're like, if you don't get along, if this isn't a good fit, this isn't going to work. There's not any amount of money or good tattooing you can do to save you. I'm not worried about that. I'm not going to lose 3 good artists to keep 1 good artist. That's not a trade-off that I'm willing to make. Maisie, how does that work when a new artist comes into your environment? What's the protocol for the other artists when the boss isn't around?
We do a lot of in our shop.
Hazing.
Not so much. In actuality, really, really not so much. We are very much, not every shop is going to be like this. So I think, even if you're an incredible artist, you have to have an environment that works for you. We do have a high level of camaraderie and making sure that everyone is eating and on the same page. We take care of each other. We take that very, very seriously. If I don't know them on a personal level, which is very common for when someone new comes on, I look at them very objectively. How does this person treat their clients? Less so about tattoo quality, just because that is something that can improve. You have to start somewhere, but I listen to the way that they treat their clients, the way that they're treating my peers. And if someone's not doing something that they need to be doing, I'm going to coach them in what that is.
Well, like I said, I hire from within. I try to train everybody that I work for, because I'm not training them for a job. I'm just taking that time to, one, get to know this person and see what their potential is. I use basic business tactics a lot of times to figure out if a person, one, is going to be a good fit, or two, like, can they work? Let's just get down to it. Just because you're on the B team does not mean you're not talented, and it doesn't mean that you're not successful. And I think of the same way as a new artist that I'm thinking about. What's their potential? Do they have the ability to seize that potential? There's a wonderful lady in the apprenticeship right now. She's very talented. She's very driven. She's a worker, but I wasn't quite sure if she would be a good fit for the other people that she's going to be working with. So I used, and I've talked about this before, but I'll do it again. I used the paint the wall theory just the other day. If you're not familiar with the paint the wall theory, paint the wall is a management tactic to see what you're working with. Have you guys ever heard of this, done it?
I think you've mentioned it, but bring it. I don't recall.
I literally did the paint the wall theory. We were doing some classes and I was teaching some stuff, and there was another group of people that were kind of idle. And so out of nowhere, I said, okay, you 4 people, take all of the paintings off the wall here, get them down, get them off, get the wall cleaned off, and I want you to rearrange these paintings. Here's a hammer, here's the other stuff, there's a ladder, go. And then I moved across the room, and I did not participate or offer any kind of guidance whatsoever in the scenario. And I just sat back and watched. Now, this is a person that I'm potentially thinking of hiring, and 3 other people that I'm not thinking about hiring, but maybe, and I just sat back and watched. And I watched who said, you know what, let's get all the paintings down and let's just set them up against the wall. And everybody went, okay. And they did. And then they said, well, you go get the ladder and I'll get the hammer and the other stuff. And everybody did. And then they got the paintings down and said, well, what if we move the paintings around on the floor to potentially where they should go? And everybody did. And they said, okay, I'll climb up here and do this, and you stand back and tell me where it should go. And they did. And in every one of those things, the person that issued those orders and made those decisions was exactly the person I was thinking of hiring. But I also watched the other three very carefully because one of them all of a sudden said, "Oh, hold on a minute, I got a phone call," and they disappeared for half an hour and didn't help. And I also watched the one that went and got the ladder and brought it over there and then slowly moved away because they were afraid they were going to be issued more orders on how to complete the job. And I also watched the one that said, maybe I'll start criticizing shit so this goes on longer so we can burn through our day. None of those was the person I was thinking of hiring.
Now, all I'm doing is wondering which one was my daughter.
She wasn't there. She was doing something else. No, but it's a simple thing called paint the wall. And this is something that we saw a lot in construction. It doesn't have to be paint the wall. It's like, everybody get a shovel. We're going to dig this trench.
I'll be back.
Yeah. Find out.
Like that. Like
Yeah,
that.
like that. Right?
Bye.
Yeah. So you come up with a mundane task that has not a complication to it, but there should be some kind of order to it. And instead of having a manager there to do it, you make the manager step away from it and just analyze how it's being done. That's a great way to decide who stays, who goes, who's reliable, who's not, who's working, who's efficient, who can problem solve.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Ultimately, I really do believe that people will reveal their nature.
Especially if they don't have a spotlight on them.
That's right. They don't think anybody's watching. They're simply trying to do the task. Also, something that I watch for that really, really is important to me, if they are not good at what they're doing, if they're willing to tell the other people, hey, you go get the ladder. Well, I only weigh 90 pounds and the ladder weighs 110. I'm going to need some help with that. I'm like, boom, that's a fucking awesome thing.
Yeah.
They're revealing their weaknesses publicly, going, I can do that, but I'm going to need help. Those are pluses that I look at. I'm watching for all kinds of things: communication, vulnerability. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yep.
On that question, it's asked, what's our vetting process? How do we, obviously, getting an interview is one thing. How do you weed out the trash before you even waste your time with an interview? Obviously someone that just comes in, walks off the street, wants a job. No, fuck no. Maybe hit me up in a month. I'm going to see how many times you hit me back, and I'm going to see how many other shops that you started to work at during that month. If you're from out of town, for example, or if I don't know you, I'm going to get your socials and I'm going to watch where you go. It tells me a little bit of something. Mm-hmm. So what is your guys' vetting process prior to even getting an interview?
Man, it's hard because there's so many people hurting for jobs. They're all going to come out of the woodwork.
I was just hanging out with my homie yesterday, and he just opened another shop, and him and I were just outside talking. He's like, I'm having a hard time finding people that I trust. And back when I used to manage bars and bartend, oftentimes it was easier for me to train a waitress how to bartend.
Yep.
Versus taking a bartender that's been bartending for 20 years, knows how to skim the till,
Yep.
knows how to get away drinking on the job. Mm-hmm. So for me and for my friend, oftentimes it is easier to train someone from the ground up. And a lot of times what I will do is I will make people wait. I'll say, I don't know, hit me up in a week. And a week will come by and I'll be like, you know what? Give me 3 more days. Or I'll say, it's been busy. I do this on purpose to see if they really fucking want it.
Yeah.
I literally will tell people to wait, and I'll get back to you. And if they quit reaching out, cool. You didn't want it. Cool.
That
you didn't want it that
historically
bad.
is a Bushido samurai style of hiring. Did you know that? Samurais, when somebody wanted to be trained as a samurai, they would make them wait, and they would make them kneel, and then make them come back and ask and ask and ask. I know a guy that opened a shop that was the same way. No matter how qualified you were or how much you liked him, you had to come in at least 3 times and ask for a fucking job before you would even consider looking at your portfolio. That used to work.
No, you don't have to go full Fight Club and make them stand on the fucking porch.
It's very much the same thing.
But
how bad
that
you want it.
mentality of, just trying to figure out how bad they want it,
Right.
it matters. We do so many times with apprentices, but doing it with other tattooers that are just popping into town and, I just moved here. I need a job. Get them emails a lot, and I kind of disregard the ones that come from out of state or out of country because scammers nowadays, why even fucking bother with it?
Another angle that probably the three of us don't exactly, or we're not talking about, but it's an angle of tattooing that's out there quite a bit. I know quite a few shop owners and stuff like that, and they are hiring on a completely different principle than I am. And it sounds like they're hiring on a different principle than you are. They literally are like, I want an artist that's producing the highest quality tattoos, and I also want them to be invisible. I don't want them to talk to me. I don't want them to bother me. Don't fucking communicate with me or talk with me in any way, and just go over there and do tattoos. I can't speak to the vetting process there, but from speaking to the owners, they're basically like, I really don't care about this person. So here's where I have problems if you're talking about an outside hire, because in the past, I've had people that were in that situation that didn't like that situation. By the time they come to the door and interview with Aaron or me or whatever, we're like, you're not going to make it. This is not, you're not going to be able to transition from that, from years of isolation to coming here.
Everybody's in your shit all the time.
Kind of, yeah. Like
Oh yeah, oh big
yeah,
time.
Maisie, you know what
Yeah.
I'm talking about. Like that's not
Yeah.
going to work, and it's like it's kind of a sad predicament.
I spend so much more time with my colleagues than I do with my family. And I know things about some of these people that, frankly, I don't want to know, and vice versa. Perspective I'd like to give is somebody who doesn't do any hiring or firing. To your friend Garrett, who was saying, oh, well, I'm having a hard time finding artists that I can trust. Trust is earned. Not everyone is going to be a good fit. Not everyone is trustworthy. And sometimes you kind of have to take the gamble, I imagine, and give them that, what would you call it? A waiting period?
I know some people that have, they're considering hiring a tattoo artist, and they go, well, let's go have dinner. I've got a friend of mine who has a shop not too far from here, and that's what he does. He talks to him a couple times, and he goes, you know what, let's go have dinner and talk. And he takes them out to dinner. And that's how he decides if he's hiring you or not, is based on how that dinner goes. And at first I was like, that sounds pretty wild. And he was like, you take someone out to dinner and you start talking to them about their cats and their dogs and their life. Now I'm fine. They're more apt to just tell you about themselves instead of fronting for a job.
I think, that question is kind of like, how do I know what I know? And I couldn't tell you. I know that I have intuition. I know that I have a gut feeling. And I'm usually not wrong. I don't know why, but that's just the way it is. And if I got a bad feeling off of somebody, for some reason, my spidey senses just start tingling. So I don't know how to explain how to get that. I don't know. Maybe own a shop for 20 years and get burned by every piece of shit fucking meth head, drug dealer, heroin addict that you could fucking imagine.
Yep, been there.
And then maybe you earn your spidey senses. I don't know how I know what I know, but that's just what I know.
When my clients come in and they're picking the placement for their tattoo and they're looking in the mirror and trying to decide if they like it, I say, if it's not a yes, it's a no. If it's right and you have to have it, it'll make itself fairly known. And if you have any inkling that that's not going to be a good fit for your shop, like you guys are, like you guys said, there's plenty of tattoo artists out there that want a job. So if it's not this one, it's the next one. And if it's not a yes, it's a no.
Also, on top of it, try to avoid growing your company so fast that you need to fill booths.
I'll grow that.
You don't need to explode and have a fucking stable of artists like Garrett.
Garrett can feed him, so he's got it figured out,
But if you got yourself, maybe a business partner, I don't know what your situation is.
No.
It's just you and you have space. You get one other artist and you start building from there. If you really want to build it, take your fucking time and do it slowly.
Like Riley said just a couple months ago, I'd rather have 4 quarters than 10 dimes.
Yep. I know it's the same amount, but it's easier to manage.
So yeah, don't get into a lease that needs another person.
There's another episode we could talk about mishires and shoulda fires. That's a whole.
That's a good one.
There is that adage. They say slow to hire, quick to fire, and I think that works in many businesses. I don't know if it's necessarily a good mentality to have in this industry. Yes, it's a good concept, of course it is, but you don't always, sometimes you need to take a chance. Sometimes you got to just go with your gut. And I will be the first to admit that I am one of the worst people at when it comes to firing somebody. It is because I've worked with these people. When people come here, they stay for 2 or 3 years. Pretty much everybody here, when they come, they're here for a few years, and they leave on their own accord. They fuck up. I give them, I tell everyone that comes in, here's a rope. You can tie a noose with it and hang yourself, or you can tie onto an anchor. Whichever you choose. And most people choose properly. They choose the anchor. When it comes to getting rid of people, I'm terrible at it. They work with me. They don't work for me. That's the difference. And that's why I have an issue with it.
I agree. It can be one of the hardest things to do. I'm good at firing people. That's a problem. I can fucking shit can anybody. I can shit can them 4 or 5 at a time if it fucking suits me right. But I don't feel good about it. Even if I'm justified, I still go home and I go like, damn, why'd you make me do that, dude? I didn't want to do that. I wanted you to be good at this and have a future and kick ass. And you made me do that. I didn't get rid of you because I got a whim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You did that. You made me do that. The actual act of like, hey, this ain't working out. I can do that. I can go down that road. But sometimes you don't have to. It's the outdoor cat thing. A lot of times I can outdoor cat and indoor cat a person and take care of it. They're not producing like they were before. They're not acting like they were before. They're not interacting like they were before. There's some problem going on somewhere. That's when I go have the conversation. I go, listen, you're being an outdoor cat. The indoor cats are noticing. You need to be an indoor cat. You can't shit on the floor. You can't tear up the carpets. Quit knocking the plants over. If you can't be an indoor cat, you have to go outside. That conversation, I know it sounds fucking stupid, but
No, it translates.
a lot of times that conversation is so simple that they go, oh, okay, well, I'll be an indoor cat. Or don't. Go outside, but just, you can't come back in once you do. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yep.
Riley fired me and all he did is talk about cats. I don't know how he did it, but I fucking got my shit and left.
Thank you guys for watching. We're happy to be back. This is the first episode of the new year, 2026, and we are very excited. We've got a couple really awesome ones coming up, so be sure to give us a follow. B Team Tattoo Podcast.
Sing us a song, Million. Take us away.
This is the end.
Nobody cares, Million.
Nobody cares.
No.
Yeah, nobody gives a damn about this.
No.